When teenager Theresa Beer mysteriously vanished in California's Sierra National Forest in 1987, a surprising suspect emerged: Bigfoot. Now, investigator Jessica Chobot and 29-year LAPD veteran Robert Collier reopened one of the most bizarre missing persons cases in modern history in hopes of bringing closure to Theresa's unsolved disappearance. BIGFOOT Took Her, a 3-part limited series, premieres with back-to-back episodes on Wednesday channel. Stranger than the lore that surrounds it, this mind-bending mystery compels the pair to reinvestigate the decades-old disappearance in search of new clues and evidence that may finally solve this unusual cold case once and for all. Interviewing witnesses who have never spoken publicly, exploring new photos, retracing Theresa's final moments, and digging into recently uncovered police reports about possible drug trafficking, serial killers, and unspoken family drama. The duo unravels new theories about what may have happened on that fateful day, and why, amid all the evidence, people in her hometown accepted that Bigfoot was not just lore, but her murderer. What happened to 16-year-old Theresa Beer in the remote forests of Central California? For locals, it's one of the strangest missing person cases of a lifetime. They'll tell you Bigfoot took her, but Jessica Chobot and Robert Collier believe there is more to the story. Chobot and Collier uncover shocking new testimonies surrounding Theresa's disappearance. An ex-girlfriend sheds light on blind Johnny's dark past, and Skip's daughter unveils details about Theresa's final days, and a link to the speed freak killers. The search for Theresa takes a dramatic turn, and an unsuspecting family's home becomes a potential crime scene. While new evidence emerges that could change the entire case, a final witness steps forward with heartbreaking new details. In the dark heart of the Pacific Northwest, where fog clings to the moss-draped evergreens and rivers whisper secrets into the soil, an ancient mystery stirs again. Discovery Channel's new 3-part series, Bigfoot Took Her, delves into one of history's strangest and most haunting missing persons cases, a disappearance so peculiar that it blurred the lines between legend and reality. For decades, whispers have rippled through rural logging towns and backcountry camps about the 1977 disappearance of a young woman named Clara McAllister. She vanished without a trace from the Cascade Mountains, leaving behind nothing but a tattered backpack, a torn jacket, and the echo of screams that some claimed didn't sound human. Now, a new generation of investigators reopens the case, determined to uncover whether her vanishing was the work of nature, foul play, or something far more elusive, something that walks upright through the woods under cover of night. The story begins on a cold October evening in 1977. Clara, a 23-year-old wildlife photographer, was last seen near the base of Mount Rainier, documenting animal migration patterns for a university project. Locals reported hearing strange cries echoing through the trees that same night, followed by the frantic barking of dogs and the smell of sulfur drifting through the air. When rangers discovered her camp the next morning, they found the tent shredded, food untouched, and a line of massive, barefoot tracks leading away from the site. Her case became one of the most baffling disappearances in Washington's history. The official explanation, an animal attack, never sat right with those who saw the evidence. Search teams scoured miles of dense terrain. Dogs lost the scent within hours, and helicopters spotted nothing. Only the tracks remained, pressed deep into the soil as though made by something impossibly heavy. Decades passed, and the name Clara McAllister slipped into legend. But locals never forgot. Hunters told stories around campfires of seeing a towering figure in the mist, moving with impossible speed. Hikers swore they heard a woman's voice calling from the forest at night, pleading for help. Now, nearly 50 years later, Bigfoot Took Her brings Clara's story back into focus, using modern technology, forensic reanalysis, and chilling first-hand accounts that challenge everything once thought to be true. The first episode, The Tracks Never Lie, re-examines the physical evidence gathered in 1977. Modern investigators use 3D laser scanning to recreate the original footprints, revealing detail long missed by early responders. Forensic podiatrists compare them to hundreds of known species prints, only to find that they don't match bear, elk, or human morphology. The spacing of the steps indicates a stride nearly double that of a man's. Archival footage shows grim-faced rangers carrying plaster casts down muddy slopes, their unease evident. Interviews with surviving search and rescue team members capture their lingering confusion. One recalls that even the scent. Dogs refused to approach the area where the tracks ended. They whined, circled, and retreated. The production team ventures to the same site, now reclaimed by moss and roots. Thermal drones sweep the canopy. LiDAR scanning penetrates the foliage. Deep in the ravine, they uncover something new, a weathered camera buried beneath decades of sediment. The reel inside, remarkably intact, contains 3 partial frames of something enormous and out of focus. The outline suggests broad shoulders, fur, and reflective eyes turned toward the lens. The episode closes on that frozen image, zooming into the grain until the pixels dissolve into black. In the second episode, The Witnesses Return, the series shifts from evidence to emotion. Surviving friends and family of Clara speak on camera for the first time in decades. Her younger sister describes the sleepless nights that followed, the unanswered phone calls to authorities, and the lingering hope that Clara simply walked away from her old life. But locals from nearby logging towns recall details omitted from official reports. One man, then a teenager, remembers seeing a shape, tall as a tree, crossing a road at dawn 2 miles from the campsite. Another swears he found tufts of dark hair snagged on barbed wire that wasn't from any bear I've ever seen. A folklorist joins the investigation, tracing centuries of Pacific Northwest myths. Indigenous oral traditions speak of the Tsimequas, giant forest people who could mimic human voices and steal away the lost. The series draws parallels between these ancient accounts and modern Bigfoot sightings, suggesting that Clara's disappearance may have been part of a much older cycle of vanishings. The investigative team pores over missing persons reports from the region dating back to the 1800s. Patterns emerge: solitary hikers, isolated weather stations, and abandoned camps, all within a narrow band of wilderness locals call the Silent Corridor. Satellite mapping overlays reveal how each site forms a line that follows an underground fault zone known for electromagnetic anomalies. One team member's compass spins wildly during filming. Drone batteries drain inexplicably. Equipment malfunctions become frequent, adding an eerie authenticity that blurs documentary with the supernatural. The deeper they push into the forest, the stranger it feels. The episode ends with the discovery of an old ranger's journal from the 1980s, its pages brittle and stained. The final entry reads, "Whatever's out there, it's not afraid of us anymore." The concluding episode, The Final Call, takes the investigation to its darkest edge. Using spectral audio analysis, the team isolates frequencies from vintage field recordings near Clara's last known location. Among the ambient sounds of wind and water, a pattern emerges: long, low vocalizations that resemble both human screams and primate calls. The recordings are run through modern software, revealing overlapping harmonics that suggest intelligence. Meanwhile, a forensic anthropologist examines bone fragments unearthed in the same area. Initial tests identify them as human, but the dating results defy logic. They predate Clara by centuries. Nearby, they find a crude charm made of twigs and animal sinew, hanging from a tree limb. It's fashioned in the shape of a human hand. Night vision footage captures what may be the most unsettling sequence of the series. While camping near the site, one cameraman is awakened by rhythmic knocks echoing through the valley. 3 in succession, then silence. Moments later, the team's motion sensor triggers. A massive heat signature silhouette moves just beyond the tree line watching. The air trembles with a low growl. Then nothing. The episode's final act examines the possibility that Clara's disappearance was not an isolated event. Former law enforcement officers and data analysts collaborate to map out 400 unexplained vanishings across North America, many sharing eerie similarities. Forest perimeters, storm seasons, electromagnetic spikes, patterns repeating like a code. The investigation closes not with certainty, but with resonance. The last scene revisits the river where Clara was last seen. Mist drifts across the water. A faint female voice seems to echo from the woods. Unverified, unexplained, chillingly familiar *BIGFOOT took her * doesn't claim to solve Clara's disappearance, it reframes it. Rather than dismiss folklore as fantasy, the series explores how myth often hides within it fragments of forgotten truth. Experts debate whether Bigfoot represents a surviving hominid species, a metaphysical entity, or a collective projection of human fear. Yet for every skeptic's dismissal, another unexplained piece of evidence emerges.